Good afternoon, welcome to the UK Column News. It is the 15th of July 2014 and it's just gone 1 o'clock. Myself, Louise Collins, Brian Gerrish and Mike Robinson are here in Plymouth. And it's a bit of a muggy day.
It's muggy and we've still got a bit of drilling, although hopefully it'll stop while we do the news programme today. I'm told that it's very, very hot in Anglesey, which I think is somewhere slightly northwest of Wales. So the theme to today's news is really the utter breakdown of UK. We'll just follow it through, but we're going to kick off with Bill Maloney, I think.
Yeah, I spoke to Bill this morning on the phone and we did a little interview and we're going to play it now for you. So, Mike, yeah.
Hi, Bill. How you doing? I believe you and Chris Fay went to a rather important meeting yesterday, and all of a sudden we've had a massive reshuffle and a load of people leave the cabinet. What are your thoughts on what went on yesterday?
Well, first of all, I would like to direct everyone to the Sunday Mirror article, July the 13th. This is last Sunday. Now, if people read that article, William Hague is being named in it. It's a witness who's come forward. It's very important that people watch that, read that. Sorry, Lou, it's very early. I didn't get into about 3 o'clock this morning. Now, so please go to Sunday's Sunday Mirror.
I'm getting the slide up on screen now, so people know what they're looking at.
Yeah, well, we need them to read that. That is what this cabinet reshuffle is all about, Lou. This cabinet reshuffle is all about, there's going to be a few red herrings as well, but some of these people that are being moved are involved in the paedophile ring within Westminster and further. Now, I was talking to some people last night. Now, what we're aiming to do is we are aiming to conduct our own inquiry. Now, we're looking for people from the alternative media that victims and survivors will trust. So we are setting up our own inquiry. We will have at least one barrister, very eminent barrister. We will have people that the alternative media cannot control either. Okay, yeah. Lou?
Okay.
This is a very harrowing time. I would just like to say that when this started, when Chris Fay was with NAPIC and he started exposing this, Chris Fay had 3 bullets come through his back window. 2 weeks ago, I had a phone call from a barrister who said to me, I had to phone you, Bill, because my name is on a hit list. I said, what do you mean? He said, just listen to me. What I must tell you is, I believe your name is on it as well. Okay. Now, I'm saying this for all the people that are out there that do work. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. What's happening? There are threats. There are threats coming from high places. Okay. My ultimate aim is to expose and go. And I am concerned about the welfare of the team that I work with as well. This has become very serious. When you look at this reshuffle, they're putting women in, the same as they've done with the church. They're putting the women in to try and take the paedophilia out. Does that make sense? Yeah, because a male-dominated environment. The Sunday Mirror is reporting pool parties where members of Parliament would be naked or just have towels around them. There were young boys, 14, 15 years of age, running around dressed as butlers in swimming costumes. Now, the story that's in the Mirror is also corroborated by the witness that we're talking to from Fernbridge. This corruption goes right through Parliament. I made a speech quite a while ago, many years ago now, and I said it will bring this country to its knees. It has to bring this country to its knees if we are to protect our children. And this goes for everyone. This goes for all the decent middle England, all the decent upper class, all the decent lower class. We have to fight for the children. We will all meet our maker one day. We will all die. Whether you believe you go anywhere or you don't. You think of your final moments. You've got to do something, people. We have to help these children. We want our own, and it will be an independent inquiry.
Yeah.
Okay, Lou.
The meeting that you went to with Chris Fay last night. How did that go? And what was it?
At that meeting we went to last night, the police were there, national media, and someone who is helping us, and I'm not.
That's fair enough, Bill. You can only say what you need to say.
Yeah, we just have to protect the building of this, but we have some very eminent people, some very, very good people that it looks like they are willing to sit on a panel, and then we will have our investigation and we will come with our conclusions. And I'll tell you something, people, it won't take as long as the Bloody Sunday inquiry did or all the other cover-ups. And what is really disheartening, Lou, is the fact that the way government are just protecting themselves. They're not protecting our children. Our children are still at risk. This is still going on. Yeah. So, you know, what more can I say, Lou?
No, I think that's fine, Bill. Well, thank you for sparing your time to come on and say this. What should people do? How should people get in to support you? What do people need to do? Do they need to start phoning their local MPs? What do you suggest people can do to help what you're doing?
Yes, they need to do. They need to get this story. To me, the story that was in Sunday Mirror was all exposing. Now, I've seen a lot of stories in different newspapers, but this one.
And this is the Dolphin Square. This is the Dolphin Square article you're talking about, yeah?
No, this is but this is about a witness who came forward.
Right. Victims of alleged abuse raped by MPs in exclusive flats. Is it that article we're talking about in the Mirror on Sunday?
Is that the one, Maria? I'm just talking to Maria. Right, it's Anthony Gilberthorpe. Anthony Gilberthorpe, whistleblower and former Conservative Party activist. Now, this guy came forward. He's not incognito. He came forward. He worked with the government. He was at the parties. He was helping to procure children.
Okay.
And our government is collapsing. The government that we knew a short while ago, today, what is happening is an example of them rebuilding themselves because the government has collapsed. Look at the work. William Hague is going to retire, even though he's right bang in the middle of world decisions, if you like. And he says he wants to go and play the piano and write books. And then we've got Kenneth Clarke. Kenneth Clarke is saying he wants to go and spend more time in his garden. Well, I think Kenneth Clarke should be looking at gardens through bars. Yeah. I don't think that paedophiles should be sent to open prisons. Now, Kenneth Clarke brings us back to Ben Fellows. And listen, everyone who's listening to this, me personally, I believe everything that Ben Fellows has said about Kenneth Clarke. He's gone. So we've got Kenneth Clarke, we've got William Hague gone, and then we've got Gove, shenanigans with Gove. Yep. Now, 4 years ago, I was ejected from Question Time. It was just after the main leaders' debate. And we are now trying to get the footage of when my wife, Maria, and my producer were both ejected. And we're trying to get the film footage. We've got the national press trying to get the film footage of when I was ejected, because on that panel, when I asked the question, what are you going to do about institutional paedophile rings operating in this country now, Michael Gove was on that panel. Farage was on that panel. Miliband was on that panel. Chakrabarti was on that panel. Then I went on to do the same to Ed Balls, to Harriet Harman, to many more. And the killer blows from us, if you like, was Nick Clegg and BBC News on Budget Day. So we are under serious threat, and I'm not trying to dramatise this subject at all, but I just want the people out there to know that we are fighting very close in this. We are really in this is becoming a street fight. Yeah. And I just want the people to know that
all the work you and Chris are doing, because you've been tirelessly, endlessly doing what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that, Lou. But we don't want thanks. We don't believe we deserve thanks. We just believe Chris Fay and myself. We are both parents. We are grandparents. We love the children. The children are the future. Until we stop it at the point where life begins, this planet will always be at war. And this paedophilic subject is one of the most powerful blackmailing tools that can be used against anyone. Anyone. So there is blackmail going on here. We've got chief whips. Michael Gove is now becoming chief whip. Yeah. So let people, there's a lot of you out there. You know what you're doing. You carry on what you're doing. And you just fight for the good and let's fight for the children. Don't worry about reputations of politicians. Don't worry about reputation of this country. The reputation as far as this country is concerned with child abuse is dead. It is squashed. Yeah. It is like paint on the floor and it is still moving. Yeah. And I just implore, once again, victims and survivors to come forward. We need serious victims and survivors to come forward with their evidence. Email me at bill@piremeshfilms.com.
Bill, that's fantastic. We'll get a link up on screen to Pie Mesh Films and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah. Listen. I know I might sound a little bit down, but I'm just tired.
No, of course you are.
I'm exhilarated by what is happening, Lou. Yeah. I'm exhilarated by what normal.
Sorry, I don't know if you're aware that there's been a petition set up, I believe, to see if we can get Robert Greene on an inquiry panel with regard.
Robert Greene is more than welcome on my inquiry panel, on our inquiry panel. I spoke to Robert a couple of days ago. I think he's a great guy to go, and I'm going to be working to see if we can get Robert involved in this. This will be a credible alternative media panel. Robert Greene has been outrageously, his human rights, his civil liberties have been spat at this man in his face. This man is a true hero. Now, for God's sake, people, wake up and start listening, and more, start acting. Demonstrate your members of parliament. Go to their surgeries.
Yeah, and do
what you have to do.
Yeah, there is a rally going on Friday as well at Westminster, organised by Mumsy McNamara outside. Mumsy is a very good example, and for those people that aren't doing anything, Mumsy will put you to shame. She's in her 70s, and she's going to be out there outside.
And her health is not good.
Exactly. Bill, thank you so much for your time. Well, we're always here. We're always supporting you. And if you need us, just give us a shout, Bill.
And anyway, to all victims and survivors, just do this bit, Lou. To all of you that have been involved in the investigation and the exposure of this subject, God bless you. We love you. Keep going. And we want to bring more forward. If the police won't listen to you, I want people to come to me, and I want them to tell me that the police have not listened to them or whatever, because this cover-up is not just politicians. Yeah. The tools they work with is the police, MI5, MI6. We are treading on very dangerous grounds. This subject has affected the national security of this country for years and years and years gone by. And there have been distractions like wars, etc., etc. Gaddafi knew about paedophiles in our government. Gaddafi. So did Saddam Hussein. They knew. Were they using these as blackmailing tools? Why are some enemies of the democratic world allowed to continue to live and others are killed? And we know. And Gaddafi's son, Saif, is still alive and knows Prince Andrew. There you go. That's the bang at the end. Love you all. God bless all victims and survivors.
Cheers, Bill. Take care. Be safe.
Bye, Lou.
Bye.
So that was Bill earlier today talking to me, and we'll have some more updates probably tomorrow. I'll speak to him later on tonight. We'll have some more updates tomorrow. But we've got Guy Taylor on now, haven't we?
We have
follow up with that.
two interviews, one after another. Just some technical issues, which meant we had to do it this way round. Once you've heard the next interview with Guy Taylor, we'll start putting things together. But Bill Maloney, as usual, great work. And as people have been saying in the chat room, it's good to see people starting to work together now. By the end of today's news, I think you're going to see why this is absolutely vital.
Yeah, and maybe take a leaf out of the lovely Mumsy's book. In her 70s and has set up a rally at Westminster this Friday. She's actually got off the sofa and gone and done something and made leaflets and organised it just through social media to put on this rally to say they're not going to stand for it anymore. So maybe Brilliant. She can inspire you, yeah.
Brilliant. So we'll just bring up a slide of Bodnam Manor. This is where the trouble started. So Bodnam Manor, Guy and Linda Taylor's family home, taken away from them, literally stolen by bailiffs. We're saying there that Guy and Linda will be attending Hereford Magistrates Court at 10 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to say, please, if you can possibly get there to support them, please do go along because public being present makes a huge difference to what goes on in the court. But Guy, have we got you on the line?
Yes, Brian. I'm here, sir.
OK, well, the floor's yours. Tell us what's been happening. I know that you had a late-night visit from the police in numbers with dogs, I believe, last night.
Well, this is very, very strange behaviour. The police came. I served a notice. Myself and Linda served a notice through the court. We actually filed it with the court for the occupants of Bodnam Manor to remove themselves. We gave them 5 days to get out, and we filed it with the court, and we sent it to the occupants of Bodnam Manor. We never heard no more until last week when the police came round. I wasn't in the premises because I no longer live in Pear Tree Farm. And they came round and they left a message that they want to contact me. So I spent all day Sunday trying to contact the police, not being able to get through to them on the 101 number and the hotline, as it were. So eventually on the Monday I got through to them and said, what do you want? And they said that they'll get someone to get back to me. So I gave them an email. They responded with an email saying, at your own leisure.
I'll just put that up on the screen. I think This is the right one, Guy. I found this a very interesting email from the police because it was almost a bit too friendly. You wonder whether it was official or it had been done sort of slightly underhand. I understand you made contact with West Mercia Police and have today given this email address to a colleague of mine, PC Oldzak. This was following 2 officers calling at your last known address, Pear Tree Farm, Kerry, Herefordshire, on the 5th of July. This is not a matter that can be put to you in an email, so I would ask if you could call into Hereford Police Station, Bath Street, Hereford, at your convenience. This is something that needs to be discussed with both yourself and Linda Taylor and should not take more than 15 to 20 minutes to resolve. If I'm not on duty, then the duty sergeant will be aware of the matter and will allocate an officer to speak to you. PC 3500 Danks of B Team. He didn't make the A team, but this is a B team man. What have you got to say?
Well, I mean, so fine. So obviously, I'm in court tomorrow, laying private criminal prosecutions against various parties, bailiff, bank manager, etc., etc. They've been well notified. They were well notified when they tried to evict us from the premises when you were up here, Brian. And then last night, I get informed that there's a police van, like a Mariah, as it would be called, a dog van and a police car, all over at the pub over the road, which was closed, luckily, on a Monday night. And then they've been banging the door of the young family that are in the house, and in fact, they've been caught listening at one of the doors, obviously feeling that I was in there and asking for me. So they were challenged about it, and they said they didn't realise that I wasn't staying there, which is complete nonsense because they'd been told that the last time they were there. And I feel that maybe they're trying to increase pressure on me because they know that I've got proceedings going in the Magistrates' Court tomorrow. And obviously, as they said, it's at my leisure, whatever it is. It can be dealt with. I was planning on going there straight after the court tomorrow. So I think it's just trying to up the ante, really, and put pressure on us in times when they know that we're hard at work doing what we're doing. So that's that element of it, Brian. It's water off a duck's back to me. I'm not that bothered. It doesn't bother me insofar as ultimately what's happening is their whole system is falling apart at the seams, and not just from the what's going on in the media front, but from what the work that's going behind the scenes with a lot of us working hard at the court themselves. As you know, that we didn't get evicted on that day, and there was a chap and his wife down that day supporting us, and they're getting evicted. And I suggest anybody goes into YouTube and puts bank fraud eviction and watches Tom's and his wife Sue Crawford, and Tom's explaining how the bank are trying to steal his house off him, even though he's paid the mortgage on an endowment mortgage. They changed to a interest-only mortgage and without informing him. And so there's a big eviction going on the 23rd of July in Nottingham, where we've got plenty of people going there, plenty of people going to be present, and we're physically going to, withhold that process. On the other end of it, we've been doing our diligence in the court. And as I said before, everybody who's coming to us have got complaints about court process and procedure. I'm talking about the civil courts now. And so, as we've said before, under CPR 541, any party to proceedings may be supplied from the records of the court with a copy of any document relating to those proceedings, including documents filed before the claim was commenced. So what we've done is, we've been telling people if they've got a problem with their court documents, do a very short request and notice, and the court's supposed to provide you within 48 hours access to your court files. Now, we've been asking for a thing that they used to call the minute sheet or the logbook, which is basically when there's a case created in a county court. It goes through a computer system, and it's like an account statement, like a bank account statement. So the case was created, and thereafter, all the events that happen. And you're entitled to that under the ruling that I've just given, because it is a copy of the document relating to those proceedings. We've been sending people in who have been inquiring about their cases, and we've been getting some very interesting results. I did send you the thing from Slough Court.
Can bring that up on screen. I'll read it because the print is very small as we brought it across, but it's from Slough Court Inquiries, dated the 4th of July 2014. Dear Sir, my colleague has been responding to your emails regarding your case. I have read your emails and her response to them. We have informed you that the file has been destroyed and that the only available documents are the orders. It is possible to produce the orders listed in my colleague's email to you, dated the 10th of June 2014. Please note that the orders that are sent to parties are not signed by the judge. The orders are simply sealed. As far as your judgment is concerned, that stands unless you pay the judgment. Any payment needs to be made directly to the claimant. Please note that we will no longer be corresponding with you in relation to this matter as directed by the district judge. It appears that we helped with your query as far as possible and are unable to assist you any further. Thank you. So,
right. So,
there we are.
So what we've got you must obey orders, and anything that's gone before that order is not available. Whether it's because they actually exist or not is another matter. But this is the point now, Brian, because if people are saying that there's been something wrong with their civil court process, and I'm going to read this is to do with possession of property, and this is to do with Part 55, possession of property, CPR, right? So this is their own rules. The Court of Appeal has described the possession proceedings as a robust machinery. It depends upon district judges rigorously considering the documents which have been filed. Some replies may be little more than a plea, however genuine, for mercy. But if on the face of the reply a matter has been raised, which if true might arguably raise a defence, or if the documents filed by the claimant might arguably disclose a defect in his claim, then the district judge must necessarily be not satisfied within the meaning of the rules. Manel v. Memon 2000. So, when people are going to these courts and asking under their own rules and procedures to be given documentation to do with their file because they believe there's a defect or it's defective inside the file, they're being told that they have to obey the orders because their files have been destroyed. Well, we all know that. I mean, I've said this many times. We get barcodes for wine gums. We get barcodes for everything, but yet there's no barcode for our court cases. Why on earth not? Now, why would they be destroying files after such a short period of time? Is it because the files don't exist at all? I don't know. Because what we've discovered, and I say this, there's an issue with court fees, there appears to be. Courts seem to be processing, because when we get this computer data printout, we can see when the first court fees are paid. When you get now, not everybody is getting this. So when we're getting people going into court, some people are coming out with their computer printout. And their computer printout will say when the case was created, and then the first fees paid, we're discovering, happen to be the person defending the action when they've made an application to the court. So, as I've said before, it appears to be that the solicitors, etc., are not paying fees. Now, if the courts are processing without fees paid, then it means they're defrauding both the individual and the public purse. Now, this is an abusive process. And when they're refusing to give us computer records, which they tend to be doing under the Data Protection Act with myself personally at the moment, and they're saying that they want another 20 days. But with some people who are lucky, they can get their data out. But the public are being denied access to computer records and factual documents regarding their cases. Now, in this age of them gathering all this information up, surely when people are having their homes repossessed or being made bankrupt, etc., that data is very, very important, and we know that it should stay in the system for a long time, because if there are any claims that come out of it, they're required, within 7 years, inside the civil courts. All this, they're being destroyed. Why are they being destroyed? I would suggest that they don't exist. And this is just an excuse, and that there are dark forces, abusing their position in the court service and the legal profession. And you don't have to go very far to discover that the land registry and solicitors are working, not in all cases, but are working together. And there are people in these bodies that are working together and robbing people. And so this is what's going on. And ultimately, our only redress is common law action, and common law action basically means boots on the ground, and people power. So, as I said about Tom and Sue Crawford, they've got their bungalow, they paid for it all their life, and I advise everybody to go and look Bank Fraud Eviction on YouTube and listen to Tom. And there's going to be a lot of us there in Nottingham on the 23rd of July, stopping this nonsense, and that's the part of the movement. But on the other hand, we've told Tom himself to go and get his court records under a request and notice, under their own rules and regulations, and they're not able to provide anything that even shows there's been proceedings. And this is going on an industrial scale throughout the United Kingdom. I genuinely mean it's going on an industrial scale.
And of course, Guy, if they can steal people's businesses and properties, then they can also steal their children. And we've got the common theme of the cover-up of documents. In 30 seconds, just tell us what is going to take place in Hereford Magistrates Court tomorrow. What are you going to be doing there?
Hereford Magistrates Court, I'm going to be laying private criminal prosecutions against Barclays bank manager, against a senior bailiff for removing me from the property, and against a fraudulent bankruptcy involving a bent solicitor. I would also say to people that the Facebook page is eviction, the fraud of the banks, and beat the bailiffs and banks. Go to those pages, get involved, and if anyone can get there tomorrow, fantastic. And we're going to seriously put it to them tomorrow, Brian.
Okay.
Brilliant. Well, we'll catch up with you maybe on Thursday, Guy, and let us know how it went.
No problem. I'm yours whenever you need me.
Brilliant.
Okay,
Cheers,
thank
Guy.
you.
Take care.
Okay,
Love
you
to
take
Linda.
care.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Well, eviction is the theme.
Exactly. 40 people yesterday, including children, were evicted from their homes in Exeter yesterday. At 7 a.m, bailiffs raided a property in Bartholomew Street in Exeter, which was in the hands of Alder King receivers after Property Edge Lettings went into administration. Exeter Council Housing Officer Rob Hannaford, who said the councillor had been aware of the planned eviction and that he had been trying to find out a date for bailiffs to attend the property, but they were unable to provide them with that, apparently. But Ben Bradshaw, who we've discussed in the past with regards to John Coles, well, Ben Bradshaw, who is Labour MP for Exeter, has said that it's a disgraceful state of affairs which needs investigating as a matter of urgency. So what has happened to these families? Well, I called Exeter Council just before we came on air. They said they were going to send me a press statement. They haven't. But they said they are working with some of the families who were evicted yesterday to find them suitable accommodation. So where they spent last night, I don't know. We have got Alder King here. I gave them a call, but nobody was available to talk to me, and they are the official receivers. But they really do boast about what they do and going in and receiving and sending in the bailiffs. And I can't find out what bailiffs it was either.
Well, we keep working on that, but there's a theme coming here, which is criminality in the courts, documents, of course, destroyed to cover up the trail of criminal action, people evicted from their homes stolen, children stolen. Where's it heading? Well, if you really want to know, let's go north of the border again and remind ourselves of Robert Green, 3 months and 1 week in Perth prison. It's now 55 days under house arrest at his home in Warrington. He's got to sleep at his house, contact the police daily and not use the internet. I believe that he's had to contact the police about 210 times since his original arrest in 2010. So this is Scotland, effectively. This is the Scottish junta, which can put people under house arrest in England. Just think of the implications. But then we were sent this. And basically it relates to Devon and Cornwall Police, but it says data protection requests for information. If your UK employer has asked you to provide a copy of your criminal record or proof that you don't have one, apply to Disclosure Scotland. And we were very intrigued by this, so we called Disclosure Scotland, and we were stunned to find that a Scottish department, an executive agency of the Scottish government, is running the criminal, or has access to all of the criminal records throughout UK. And when we said to these people this morning, well, what about the differences between the law system in Scotland versus the law system in England? They said, well, it's no problem. If we're dealing with somebody in Scotland, we just apply Scottish law. And if we want to deal with somebody in England or Wales, we apply English law. So we have a junta of 3 people, Alex Salmon, Sir Stephen House, who's running Police Scotland, and Kenny McCaskill, the Justice Minister, as you will see, not only controlling justice and the police, but now they have control over data, not only of people in Scotland, but also in England. And it gets worse because even the BBC is reporting that the police in Scotland are to be armed. And many people in Scotland are saying, what is going on here? Because actually crime rate has been falling significantly in many areas. But now Alex Salmon, working as a junta, is making sure that Scottish police are armed. These are the very same police who, of course, can simply walk over the border into England, arrest English men and women in their homes and then take them north to a foreign jurisdiction. So if we build up the picture, here they are, probably 3 of the most dangerous men in UK at the moment. We've got the arming of Scotland's single police force under the control of one man, Sir Stephen House. We've got the Scottish Government able to control data relating to people here in England. We've got, of course, the Scottish State controlling children by putting a named social worker alongside every child at birth. And then, if you want to cover things up, including paedophilia, well, you've got the perfect environment, and you can simply keep people who are trying to protect children either in prison or effectively locked up in their homes. So if you want to see the future, we should be looking over the border into Scotland and to see the reality that this Scottish man is producing. Well, south of the border, crime, corruption, paedophilia, and we better put up King David, I suppose.
Yes, because obviously government taking advantage of the furore over paedophilia and the reshuffle to, push through this Data Retention and Investigatory Powers Bill, the DRIP. And it's quite interesting that they're going to do in a whole day what it normally takes months to do, and they're going to actually ram this through. And this is yet another example of something a bit like the Leveson inquiry, which has had some kind of dirty deal done in back rooms, where all three parties got together and agreed that this would go through. So what have we got? The Data Retention and Investigatory Powers Bill is going to require the reinstatement of the powers for, or the requirement for internet service providers to maintain metadata of people's internet usage and phone calls and so on. And this is a major concern to anybody with any kind of privacy concerns. If we just move on there, Brian, if we could, please. But at least one MP is not a DRIP, because this is Conor Burns MP, who has written back to a number of his constituents who've been contacting him with concerns about this. And I just wanted to read this letter because I think it's quite a reasonable response. He says, "Thank you for contacting me about the Emergency Data Retention and Investigatory Powers Bill. I share your concerns on the issue. Given the urgency of the bill, I wanted you to have my thoughts as soon as possible. I'm therefore replying by email today to the constituents who have contacted me, which means this cannot be a personalised letter. I'm intrinsically concerned when the three main parties get together and cook up a deal as they did on Leveson. Experience shows that this usually leads to poor legislation. I'm at a loss to understand why, if the judgment of the European Court of Justice, whose authority and moral authority I question, was announced in April, we are rushing through this Parliament. We're rushing this through Parliament in the final week before the start of the summer recess. If the legislation is so urgent, then I'm sure the Speaker could have been accommodating enough to extend the session so that the bill could be considered in full in committee and on the floor of the House. I take on board the government's advice that the bill will enable agencies to maintain existing capabilities and bring clarity to existing law in response to the concerns of some internet and phone companies. I shall nonetheless listen very carefully to the debate tomorrow and before deciding what to do. Now, of course, this debate is happening this afternoon, but the debate is really just a formalisation of something which has already been agreed. Now, the Labour Party has took part in the agreement, but they have at the last minute put in place two amendments, really, I suppose, to try and garner some kind of publicity that they were actually wanting to do something about this. But if you actually look at what the amendments were, they don't change anything about the spirit of this bill. This is legislation which the European Court decided was inappropriate, but the British government is deciding is required. And I think we should all be concerned that it's being rushed through in the way that it is. On the other hand, we should probably see this as quite a positive development because it's a reaction to what's going on in the country. And we got to keep pushing.
I think we've got to do more than keep pushing. It needs to be a battering ram to break through this. What are they all worried about, really? We've got to come straight back to child abuse in the halls of Westminster. And this report from Exaro on what was going on in Dolphin Square. Now, excuse me, this is quite interesting. It's in fact bringing history back to the fore because we're going back to reports that were made. Just need a sip of water here. It's very hot in the studio.
Well, I can remember Bill talking about Dolphin Square a few years ago when I first interviewed him, and that's where a lot of the children were taken and how many politicians lived there.
Senior politicians hear parties, children taken, plied with drink and drugs, raped, abused, and in fact tortured. If you realise what was really going on, have a look at Exaro and see what they're saying. Now, it's very interesting that on the wider news, we've got politicians leaving David Cameron's camp. This is all happening at about the same time that we've got the paedophile allegations coming to the fore. But here we are. Tory stalwart Ken Clarke is leaving.
Yep, so he's quit the cabinet along with William Hague. But I'm going to do a bit of work on that tonight, and we'll have more on it for you tomorrow. But let's just take a look at this Mail article. Begin with them listing Mr Clarke's position in power. He's been the Chancellor of the Exchequer under John Major. He's been the Home Secretary, the Health Secretary, the Education Secretary, Justice Secretary, and it continues to go on and praise Mr Clarke and the work that he's done for the Conservative government. But I must highlight what his private secretary has said about him. Ben Wallace, and Ben Wallace has said he is the most honest politician I have ever met, and that has come from Mr Clarke's own private secretary. But somebody who may disagree with that is our one and only, our own Ben Fellows. I'm going to be trying to speak to him later and maybe record it and get some comment from him. But as we put up here, Ben is still wanting the police to investigate Westminster perpetrators, yeah, but he holds little hope. But I'm going to hopefully talk to him tonight, and I will bring you more on that tomorrow.
So, interesting things unfolding in Westminster. I believe Mr Gove is being moved across to be Chief Whip. Is that right, Mike?
Yes, he is.
Yes, that's correct, Chief Whip. So, of course, he will have access to all the secrets.
The dirty little black book, which we know exists because previous whips within the Conservative Party, and of course it's the same for Labour, have been talking. So blackmail is the means by which our politicians are kept in line. And if you're going to use blackmail, then of course you need the means to blackmail people. And what's left since drugs and prostitutes, sex with all manner of people is possible. Well, the only thing left is children. So what happens when victims stand up to be counted? Well, that brings us straight back to Melanie Shaw, this very brave lady raped within 2 days of arriving at Beechwood Home, sexually abused, physically abused, strung up by her feet, punched, and a variety of other things. Where is she now? Is she receiving careful attention from authorities who are determined to stamp out child abuse? Well, no, of course. She's been picked up and put in Peterborough Prison. So this is the United Kingdom in 2014. Paedophiles in Westminster are protected, and vulnerable victims of child rape, sexual and physical abuse are imprisoned to silence them. So we'd like to say to you, please show this very brave lady that she's certainly not forgotten. You can write to her, Melanie Shaw, HM Prison, Peterborough, Savile Road, Westwood, Peterborough, PE3 7PD. We're still waiting to get hold of her prison number. When we called Peterborough Prison this morning, nobody answered the phones. So we'll be making a complaint about that a little later today. But we're going to say, please, can we get massive support for this victim? She suffered horribly prior to her time at Beechwood Home. She suffered horribly in the home. She was the brave whistleblower that brought the whole thing to public attention. There are now 100 victims. There are no prosecutions. And her reward for speaking out is to have her child taken away from her by social services. And now she has been banged up in Peterborough Prison on what we certainly believe are concocted arson charges.
Has she spoken to Bill by any chance?
We're waiting for that to happen. It's putting people together. Yeah. But we're not the only people speaking out, because we do have an MP, John Mann from Nottinghamshire, and here he is. Nottinghamshire MP claims county councillors destroyed files relating to child sex abuse. So he's demanding an inquiry after claiming that Nottinghamshire County Council has routinely destroyed files into child sex abuse. If it gets too difficult, let's get rid of the documents. 6 constituents have come to him over the past year claiming they've been abused as children. when he said to the council, "Well, where the documents? Oh, we've destroyed them." Well, Mike.
Just the question of prisoner number, Brian. I believe that when you were speaking to somebody earlier, it was suggested that it actually wasn't necessary that letters would get through to her in any case.
That would appear to be true. So yes, I'll correct myself there. Please write to Melanie. We are told that those letters will get through, but as soon as we've got a prison number, we will provide that. So keep an eye on the UK Column website. But your support makes such an amazing difference, not only to the morale of Melanie and other people in this position, but of course the prison governor, terrified of publicity, and we're going to show you partly why, and of course the government, terrified of the publicity. Who else would treat an abuse victim like this but David Cameron's Conservative Party? Well, Nottinghamshire County Council and City Council, of course, topped up with people protecting children. If you want to see the scale of this corporate operation, simply put Nottingham County Council Children, Families and Cultural Services Department into Google and you'll come up with this. And we received an email today which was fascinating. "Hi Brian, I've been trying to speak with or secure a telephone appointment with Notts County Council Children's Social Care Service Director Steve Edwards. There he's ringed in respect of serious case review around Beechwood. His PA Wendy Fernside has advised me that Steve is in Devon on Friday in respect of a serious case review. I said that's convenient as I'm in Devon. Would he like to meet or speak with me then?" But this was declined. So it appears serious case reviews around catastrophic failure in his county, for which he has responsibility, are not as important as coming to Devon to conduct something here.
I wonder what he's up to here.
Well, we wonder, don't we? But I encourage people to get into that child safeguarding team. We're going to show you some names in a minute. But here's the prison that Melanie's gone into. Terrible reputation for bullying, violence and drugs. And this is going back to 2007, but the suicide rate in this privately run prison, very, very high, with women committing suicide.
Do we know who's running this prison?
Well, we certainly do. Here it is, Sodexo. And I'm going to say I was stunned to have a look at this, what appears to be a French company. It was of French origin. They are there to look after people's quality of life services. They've got a vision and a mission. It's going to provide justice services. Well, it's going to be very interesting that this private company is going to provide justice. It would appear they're there to bang people up, but we're going to change lives for the better, and it lies at the core of everything that we do, and we're going to protect the public. Well, there's also the Sodexo Foundation, and they're doing lots of nice things. They're helping stop hunger throughout the world. A loving company, clearly. And here's the senior management team. So this is the person I tried to get hold of when I couldn't get through to her privately run prison in Peterborough. But I didn't manage to speak to Debbie White. Perhaps some members of the public would like to try. And to get a scale of this company, here we are. 428,000 employees, and it looks as though much as with Serco and G4S, they're trying to dominate the world. Yeah. So there we are. They're looking after our lives, our social lives, and of course they're full of environmental responsibility. So if they've got Melanie banged up at the moment, here's Nottingham County Council, and here are the people who are responsible for safeguarding children. There are a lot of them, a lot. And of course, if anything goes wrong, they investigate themselves. And hey presto, there's never anything wrong amongst the safeguarding team. So we discovered that reports are usually conducted into serious deaths or injuries amongst children. Reports headed up by this firm, Maddox, which you might like to take a look at. Here are all the people they're linked to. So they're clearly independent when they do reports. And Mr. Maddox himself is also linked to this extremely interesting organisation to do with social research, which happens to be based in Dartington, Devon.
Well, that's quite worrying. But I might actually take a little wander around there because my little studio's there where I go.
Yeah, well, that's
there,
it.
so we'll have to
That's
go and
it.
have a look.
It's getting pretty hot in here. So, where does that leave us? Well, we're now in a country, law is breaking down, the government is destroying documents to cover up abuse, we've got criminals in Parliament, we've got wars being started overseas, we've got attacks on Christianity. So thank you very much for the viewer that sent this in to us. This was found on top of a display cabinet in Leiden University in Holland. And basically, it's a gentleman, Professor Ronald Hutton. He's talking about lived religion in theory and practice, the case for modern paganism. And the author of the email said, it's not the first time I've seen the University of Bristol associated with pagan revivalism. Curiously, it and Exeter, common university par excellence, are both famed in public school circles as the two classic venues for ambitious, moneyed Oxbridge rejects.
Bristol mentioned, it's interesting because I had Chris Spivey on my show yesterday and he said a lot of funny things go on around Bristol.
Yeah.
And now you've just mentioned this. And he said historic things, a lot always ends up back at Bristol. The more research he does, it goes back to Bristol.
Well, we're getting a clue here. And of course, Exeter, let's remember, boasts that it's one of the best universities in Europe for the occult. So what happens as we see satanic law creeping in? Well, I think you know with this school trip.
Yeah, I did. What was supposed to be a nice school trip to look at an art gallery turned out to be anything but nice for a class of 9 and 10-year-olds. Pupils from Haffron School in Wales went on a trip to their local art gallery to actually look at their own work that was being exhibited at the Oriel Gallery. After seeing their work on display, they were taken round the rest of the gallery, where they were exposed to explicit pornography of naked women and dead bodies. Parents were in total shock and totally disgusted. The head teacher at the school said the art gallery had an education officer who explained the context of all the work that was being exhibited. And I've only taken a little look at the website, and these are some of the little images that are on the website for this Oriel Davis Gallery. I had a look for some images that are currently being displayed there, but couldn't find anything. But exposing kids to this again, I mean, it's the same as kids. Of course it's deliberate, like just how they get made to make the suicide films and everything else. It's all deliberate. Definitely.
So let's give some good news. Big rally.
A reminder, and it's, again, I just want to applaud Brenda Mumsy McNamara in her 70s and has set this up for this Friday outside the Houses of Parliament at 11 o'clock till 5. Again, a peaceful protest, a bit like what we did on Budget Day, handing out leaflets, talking to people and exposing what is going on.
Okay, and finally, just a reminder on Melanie Shaw.
Yeah.
We'll leave this. What a wonderful prison that is. It's got special units for mums and babies, so it's a nice place, really. There's the address, HM Prison, Peterborough, Savile Road, Westwood, Peterborough, P3, 7PD. Can we make a major impact not only on this prison but on the government and on Nottingham City and County Council, that they believe they can cover up abuse of a minimum of 100 children by putting the key witness in prison.
Yeah.
It's up to us.
Bill always says yesterday's victims or victims today are tomorrow's witnesses, so they have to keep them quiet, don't they?
They have to shut them up. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for today. We're going to leave you because it's quite warm here.
It's really hot.
Thanks for joining us. Don't sit on your bottoms. Get out there and do things. It's quite apparent we're seeing the cracks in the establishment. We're seeing people leaving their posts in Westminster because it's getting too hot, and it's up to the public to keep piling on the pressure until we get these horrible people cleaned out of Westminster. The domestic terrorists are not at large in UK. They're certainly not Muslims. The problem is coming from principally the white men and women in Westminster. It's up to us. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.